Okay, hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay.
I cannot tell you, even though my main TikTok account was taken down multiple times and I've had to create multiple new accounts,
Right.
we just keep building it back up. But what's amazing is people continue to find me and they'll say, "Oh, I'm so glad I found you. Um, oh, how's Elvira?" And they'll ask about, but
Hmm.
people are really invested in you and your fight because there's so many women on TikTok in the same situation, not the same, but in similar
Yeah.
circumstances where, they're in a custody dispute and money and the courts are being used as a weapon to just terrorize women and their children. And I think it's a real problem that people don't see and they don't realize. Um, but I think it's amazing that you're willing to fight and people see that. Um, First of all, why don't you just explain to folks what this kind of online campaign that we've started has meant to you? What kind of changes it made for you? How has it helped you fight? What have you had to go through? Um,
Okay. But to be quite honest, I think it made me a better person because seeing just random strangers like helping me, I think it's empowering. It just kind of makes you realize like no one's really alone. It's just you have to reach out there and kind of like have your voice heard. So there's many people that are willing to help. It's just a matter of like, you know, reaching out in the specific, like a certain way. But I think like a lot couldn't be done without your help, which is, I'm very thankful for that. I think I don't know. Every time I go to like a grocery store and they do like, oh, you want to make a donation to like such and such charity, I would be like, no, and like now I think I'm more open to that after seeing that people are actually willing to help and that it could actually like, help somebody's life because I don't know. I always thought it was like a scam and like it's going to go into somebody's pocket, but realistically, there are people that are willing to help just, other people without gaining anything from it. And I think that's like very I don't know. It's amazing. It's like mind blowing to me. I never realized I would be in this situation. Like when you initially reached out to me, I had no idea that like, I don't know, some random woman from like Texas is willing to help. Like for a minute, I thought it was Homan himself. I thought, oh, maybe he's like, like he's just like trying to like get something out of me and be like, oh, this is so and so. And then when
like
you're
when the
like,
prosecutor called me, I thought it was Haman pretending to be the
because I'm
prosecutor.
paranoid now. I get a text message from an unknown number, and I'm like, well, it's him. Like, I don't even respond now, and it's
Yeah.
crazy because that relationship made me paranoid, and I used to be always open to people and things, and now I'm just like, no, maybe I shouldn't tell like where I live or go into any details about my personal life because like who knows, maybe like he sent a person to get information out of me. Like I don't know. So
Yeah.
it's been very interesting.
Amazing. I mean, it's not just me, it's so many people, right? Like, it's so many people are invested in doing this work in social justice that is not about, going through proper official channels, but really just uniting power of voice and money, because that's what it takes is like resources, compiling resources to the people who need it when they need it. That socialism word everyone's so terrified of.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the court system are just flawed. They're just really flawed. I mean, it's like who has more money pretty much wins. It's like the better representation you have, you're going to win, regardless if the facts are on your side. Like his attorney lies all the time, and it's just the judge doesn't care. Just let it slip by and just whatever. Who cares? And it's like I look at him and I'm like, really, like this is false. This is not true. But he kind of like closes his eyes. So realistically, there is no justice. It's like justice is like who has the bigger pocket,
To
and it's
keep
sad.
moving. Mm-hmm.
It's that. And the thing is like now we're doing discovery. Like the new attorney that I hired, this guy has, I don't know, he's the same age as the judge in our case. So he's like 70 at least. So, I mean, he has like, I don't know, 40 years of experience. So he's like, trust me, like I've seen it all. So he knows who he is. Like he knows who Human is.
We know based on, reports from monitors who have
Mm-hmm.
observed Haman's visits with your daughter. And we know from his own statements that he really doesn't care about his daughter,
No,
that he's just weaponizing her against
exactly.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that, she doesn't always come back in the best condition
Yeah.
when she's been with him. And we know the kind of person he is, like the kind of reality that she's being placed in. And you have been forced to provide him with some visits. So at this point, are you still pushing to restrict visitations? Is that still the goal?
My attorney wrote a declaration, but nothing is really happening because right now we're trying to get a custody evaluation. The courts have recommended the custody evaluation twice. The first time his attorney said that, oh, we don't have the funds, it's very expensive. So the judge just struck it out of the court order. This time it's actually a custody evaluation. If the custody evaluation deems it's necessary to have a psychological evaluation, then the psychological evaluation will be performed as well, which is great because I don't know. I've never had a psychological test. I mean, I'm sure he can BS his way out of it and pretend that he's normal. But I hope they'll be able to pick up on his BS and kind of know that like this person is not okay. There is definitely major issues and problems, just with the way he views, I don't know, women and this world and everything. I don't think any normal person is going to look at those videos from TikTok and be like, yeah, this is a great person to, be around kids.
So that's my next question. Is this custody evaluator or who conducts the custody evaluation?
So it's supposed to be a neutral party. They're like, they have a PhD and like, family, whatever. So they're like,
So it's a court-appointed specialist.
It's not even court-appointed. They are court-appointed, but my attorney's saying a private custody evaluator is better because she said it's pretty much you get what you pay for. So the court-appointed is not going to do a thorough evaluation. But his attorney already suggested two of his own, and of course we're not going to agree to it. Of course not. Yeah, because I feel like even with monitors, I feel like they paid them. I swear to God, I'm not even joking.
It's so crazy to me. Like everything is for sale, even in court.
Yeah. It's who you know. It's how much money you got. It's like it's crazy. It's like politics.
Even a situation like this where a child's life is at risk, it can come down to who can afford to pay for the expert necessary, and to even get this far. This far in the process, it's taken over. When I met you, you were already in the middle of this fight. That's how I found you because I found Homan on the internet, like just trolling women, being this horrible person, saying these horrible things, and like seeking women out to target them, and bragging about terrorizing you. Yeah. And that's when I was like, who is this person? We got to find this person. And it just amazes me that it's all come down to the fact that he's got parents willing to pay for this, willing to fund this terror campaign.
Exactly. And I mean, and they're just as big as him. Like I thought in the beginning, maybe they were the normal ones, but like they filed lawsuits against me for money, a restraining order. And it's just like, I look at it and it's like, you guys are in your 60s, like, aren't you afraid of going to hell or like some sort of repercussion? But it's like
this person who's going to conduct the custody evaluation, are they going to have privy to the TikTok compilations and the video compilations?
Oh yeah, I'm going to make sure my attorney, discloses because we have to limit the scope because I mean they can't look at everything, but I think that's going to be a main factor in this case. And the talking parents messages. I mean, the stuff he said over there was just as disturbing. It's like, I hope you die from COVID-19. Like, I'm never going to give you a penny. Like, it's not normal stuff people would say.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff to look over, but I mean, it is what it is.
But I mean, I just wanted to make sure it's accessible, that it would be considered. Because I know we tried to submit it before and the judge was like,
No, it will. No, definitely.
So it'll be considered. Wow. Yeah. Well,
that's it's really his face. I mean, it's not like, somebody who's holding a gun to his face saying say this, he's clearly putting it out there himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very vivaciously at the head.
Like he's proud of it. He's bribing about it.
Very proud. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I do notice he seems to be rather quiet these days.
I think with the sentencing around the corner is going to be on the 8th. He's kind of, holding himself together. But I think as soon as the sentencing happens, I feel like he's going to be back to normal.
So June 8th, he goes to court for sentencing. And for what charge is that again?
So it's going to be for the violation of the DVRO. And then in addition to that, they added a charge for harassment, excessive electronic communication. But from the 13 charges, they only kept 5. I don't know if there was some sort of plea bargain, but he only pled guilty on 5 charges.
And that is, you said again, one of them was violating the domestic violence
restraining order, and
that was filed after he assaulted you.
Well, it was mostly for just talking parents, because when he hit me and everything, I never pursued anything. So that kind of like fell through the cracks, because if you don't act right away, police is not going to investigate down the line, and it's my own fault. But again, like it's easier said than done. When you're in that relationship, the dynamics of it is just very, very, very difficult. You know, it's like I feel like everybody in that relationship has like the batter's whatever syndrome, like the whatever it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it's important to talk about this, right? Like, that's why I'm so grateful for you to have this conversation with me, because I mean, people need to hear the experiences of victims. People need to understand how these things work. It's not, people have this idea of our policing system and our criminal justice system that, oh, when something goes wrong, just call the cops and tell them that your husband hit you, and, you know, or tell them that your boyfriend did this or whatever, your significant other, your partner, that they hurt you, and they'll be taken away, and then you'll go to court and you'll get a restraining order, and they'll keep you, the police will protect you, and then you're going to go to court and they're going to go to jail and justice will be served. When really, as we've talked about, that's not at all what happens.
Right.
Kind of, we live in this mythology of a just world based on our excellent legal system and the American democracy, when, as we were talking about before, that's really not the case. And not at all.
Yeah, when you have kids involved too, it really complicates things, because even with like, okay, I have a contact order, but it has an exception for my, you know, custody and visitation order. And the custody and visitation order allows for peaceful exchanges. And it's like, every time I take her, I have to relive like trauma, or him trying to instigate, or trying to come close to me. And realistically, like, even if I call the police, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy, because, oh, the order says peaceful exchange. He didn't hit you, so you're okay. But they don't realize the actual emotional trauma that you have to carry on for the rest of your life. And when you see your abuser again, it's like, you know, you don't just forget about it. Like, I've kind of coped myself, because I, you know, court ordered therapy, and I went to 2 sessions, but realistically, it didn't really help. You know, we talked about the same thing, and I'm like, you know, we're not getting anywhere, because, you know, I had a great like friend support system. So I've already like spilled out my emotions. But as far as like, you know, the trauma, I feel like I just buried inside of my like, you know, I've kind of like self-coping mechanism, just pretend like it never happened. But it's a constant reminder when I see him, you know, because it's like,
it's beyond me that you can have a restraining order against someone for domestic violence, and then be ordered by a court to have to meet that person weekly and hand over your child to them.
Right.
So the court can decide that this person poses such a threat to you that they can issue an order to limit that person's movements. But because to keep them from coming near you to hurt you, because they're such a threat to you, that's a pretty big deal. It's quite an infringement on bodily autonomy by a court, especially on a man, right? But then when that man who you've said can't come near you because they've hurt you wants access to the child, the court demands that order has to temporarily not matter. You have to go confront that person. Not only that, you have to turn your child over to them. You have to give your child to this person that's such a threat to you. A court had to order them to stay away.
Right. And after reading messages he posts and, you know, says all these nasty things about me anonymously, it's like, I know it's him. I have to smile and hand over Valentina and be like, yeah, have fun, you know, see you in whatever, how many hours. And it's disturbing. You know, it's like, I can't do anything about it. And the courts don't care, because to them, it's like, well, there's no proof he said it, or I don't care what kind of relationship he has with you. You know, he might be the best guy.
His relationship with his daughter.
Exactly. And it's just, you know, if he's this kind of individual to me, what kind of individual can he be to his daughter? It doesn't matter that, you know, that's his daughter. She's still a woman, you know. It's sad. It's really sad. And the thing is, I'm not alone. A lot of people are in the same situation, you know. And they're even worse situations because they have multiple kids, or, you know, they're a lot older and they've never worked a day in their life. You know, there's like those shelters, you know, I've heard about, but realistically, you know, if you have 3 kids, like how long can you pull that off?
Yeah.
You know, and supporting them is very difficult, and it's expensive. It's expensive, especially in a state like California.
And I think that's what has made your case so important, and not the, I mean, you're the only person that I've helped, but I think that usually when I choose to help someone, there are kind of certain demographic markers where I invest my time and my energy because I want to help those people who really are the least likely to be helped, you know, the people who are really at that and also, can I help, right? I mean, different people need different kinds of help in different ways, and, you know, can I be effective? But I think what really made me invest in your story was the way that I found you through your predator, right? I didn't find you on the internet. Not that there's anything wrong. I mean, I don't want to discourage people from sharing their stories, obviously, right? Like, that's what we're doing right now. But usually that's what you see, or you'll see people advocating initially for the victim. But I came across your story by coming across your predator, who was using the internet, TikTok in particular, to brag about how he was literally terrorizing you.
Yeah.
How much he enjoyed it. And then went on to brag about terrorizing other women, sexually assaulting women, offering advice to men on how they can hide their assets from the courts, to keep it from their children's mothers
or whatever, right?
Yeah. And bragging about, hiding his money from the government, and just this person who has invested in this identity of, you know, this crazy macho patriarchal, you know, his whole thing is like anti-feminism, but I mean, really, this guy is just plain and simply a predator. He's racist. He's misogynist. He's narcissistic. He's all the things that you fear most.
All in one. Yeah. All in one.
And it's crazy to me that even in spite of our best efforts over the last year, while we've still been able to maintain the fight, we've lost ground. I mean, at this point, he is getting unsupervised visits, which is something we're fighting really hard to stop. And I know that, like, we have some images of, like, Valentina coming home with bruises, and you know, at one point we were laughing with the fact he didn't even know how to put a diaper on, you know. But
and I get it. I mean, it's not like, you know, she didn't die, but, you know, for courts, it's like, well, whatever, you know, she didn't die. It's okay. Her arm wasn't broken, you know, she didn't, whatever. So it's kind of, you know, sad. So it's like, if you're waiting for something that bad to happen until you actually step in and do something, like, you.
The idea is to prevent a broken arm, to prevent the serious injury. But when you take your daughter I don't even think he had her for 24 hours, right? And she came home and all those bruises all over her leg.
Yeah, I was really, and it's like, I spoke to her doctor, and she spoke to, like, a specialist that, specializes in abuse. And they said, like, these are not normal bruises. Like, she called Child Protective Services, but based on the photos, the Child Protective Services didn't even do, like, a referral or anything. So it's just, or they didn't open a case or whatever they do. But, like, to me, I mean, it's alarming.
Failing.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary.
Because
you know how many kids, sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, please.
Like, a lot of kids die, you know, like, as we're speaking, kids are being beaten right now. It's so sad, you know, and when they discover them, it's already too late. It's too late.
And I think that's what's scary, right? It's like, you're in a position where you're doing what you're supposed to do as a mom. You're fighting to prevent something bad from happening to your child. You're fighting to prevent having to be placed in a situation where you could be victimized, right? I mean, it's like, you're doing all the things that women have been told all along, right? It's our fault. Like, we shouldn't put ourselves in a place to be victimized, which is total BS. But my point is like, even when you're doing that, it doesn't matter, because the system is set up, first of all, to favor the person with the most money. And it's that simple. Who can construct the fight the longest, because you can just put in these motions to stall and prevent and false, but also the system's overwhelmed.
That too. And COVID didn't help it at all. At all. And the thing is, the system is built on two normal people. Like, you know, people go through divorces, people separate. But when you got, you know, they say, like, oh, a child has to have contact with both parents, both normal parents. But when one person is just absolutely crazy, it's better to not even have that parent in their life. And that's what court needs, like, they need to understand. Like, they just, you know, they're stuck in this old fashioned way, just like how certain things have not evolved, which they should have had, you know. It's like, we're, you know, still following the Constitution, but it's like, that thing was written, like, how many years ago, you know what I mean? Like, it's,
and we're not even included in it. Technically women aren't even protected.
That's true. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, they still haven't passed that amendment, which is why they're able to construct these crazy attacks on our bodily autonomy,
Right.
But that said, I think that's why, I think you're really someone to be listened to. And I think your story is important because in spite of all of it, this person who's gone out of his way to silence you, we can't even have a GoFundMe campaign anymore. We're moving your fundraising site because this person, Homan, is so committed to torturing you and terrorizing you. He has been making minimum donations under fake names just to leave these paragraph monologues of just mythical how bad you are stories. And it's just become this GoFundMe doesn't have an option where I can go in directly as a moderator to edit that. So we had to do the emails, and we've just been going back and forth. Also, if you're watching this, don't forget that GoFundMe supports racism, which is why I'm pulling all of my campaigns and moving them to Fundly, because you can read the details about that in my petition to get Officer Nate Sylvester defunded. There's more details there. But anyway, I digress. So, even that, it was kind of like what got me looking at other campaign sites and fundraising sites, because he won't spend money on his kid. He won't pay child support, but he'll donate $20, $30, $50 in minimum $5 donations to post these horrific things about you and hoping it will affect your campaign to raise money for legal funds to fight him in court.
Right. And it's so sad. I mean, the length he goes is insane. But at the same time, I don't think GoFundMe saw that people would be making donations would be leaving nasty comments, because that's just kind of counterintuitive. But he did make a donation. He did make a child support payment on his birthday, which was on the 28th of May, of $50. So I don't know if it was like a joke, whether he was just high. It was really, really strange.
There are often times when I wonder if he's high. I mean, he does seem to be highly intoxicated or under the influence. I think it seems to me like there's a steroid problem for sure.
I think it's more than just steroids.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We've made videos on that too. Well, I don't think there's anything else. Is there anything else you want to say maybe to the folks who've been supporting you all along and who've been cheering you on and making these donations for the last 6 months?
I just want to say thank you. And I mean, it really, really means a lot. I'm still kind of in shocked with everything that has happened. And then with you reaching out, it's not settled in fully, if that makes sense. Because it's just I don't know, it's kind of sort of surreal in a sense, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking some time to just talk with me. I know we talk all the time, but and we've had some back and forth video conversations, but this is our first time to really sit down and have a conversation. As crazy as that is, I feel like I've been through so much with you.
I know.
We chat and we text and we send stuff all the time, but this is the first time we've really done this. So
and we can do it more. I mean, I don't mind doing Zoom. So
right on. I think it'd be good. I think at this point, people are really invested in your story and in your fight. And I know I am. Right. And I know that a lot of other people are too. And because it's important, and I think it's important to model how we fight together. Right. I think it's important to show people, to show women, especially, how we are capable.
Yeah.
And when we want to do something, we can come together and we can do stuff and we can fight together, and we don't have to be next door neighbors to do it. Exactly. We don't have to live in the same state to do it. We can move mountains by just uniting together and finding one another. So thank you for helping me model this. And I know that we've encouraged other women to fight too. People tell me all the time. So give my love to the little one.
I will.
And we'll be, before we go, one last thing. Let's let people know what dates we're looking forward to. So June 8th, Homan has a sentencing hearing for previous violations of domestic violence and harassment of you. And what are the potential, do we know what the potential sentencing looks like? what his
So,
maximum
so they want to give him 3 years of probation. They're going to give him 52 weeks of batterers intervention classes. And they're going to continue my criminal protective order. However, it is going to have the exception for peaceful contact for the exchange, which to me is just, it's insane, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm really hoping he gets a 3-year probation, but I'll find out more on Tuesday.
Okay. And we'll send an update out about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, what's the next court date after that?
On 6/14, I have an arraignment because they filed a motion of contempt against me. So they're claiming that I'm violating, you know, orders and yada, 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 but it's like quasi-criminal. So there's an arraignment, but it still happens in the same room as our custody our custody case. So that's going to be on 6/14.
And how are they claiming that you're not cooperating?
So one of the exchanges, I had my parents take Valentina because I was at work. Another one, it's a similar situation. Another exchange, my dad was in the car while I did the exchange. So he's saying it's a, you know, violation. And then one of them, I didn't show up to a court hearing. And then another one, I believe there's 6 counts. I don't remember all of them on top of my head, but I mean, it's ridiculous stuff. Just like they're just, you know, trying to pick at anything they can. When realistically, he's the one not paying child support. He's the one not following quarters. He still haven't completed any of his court-ordered classes, like for anger management and co-parenting. And
you mean the ones that he cheated on? And so
exactly. He still hasn't completed them. My attorney reached out to his attorney 3 times already, and his attorney just ignores her. It's insane. And then the custody evaluation court date got moved to 6/30 because the judge that's on our case, something happened to him, so he's going to be out for a month. So yeah, that's what's coming up.
Well, we are all rooting for you, and the way that people can help is we do feel really confident about the new attorneys. Mm-hmm. We up the game even more, right? So now you have a team of attorneys. Mm-hmm. We're going hard. And you have now become an attorney yourself. You've been all through this. You have been fighting to get your degree in law all through this, and you did it.
Yep.
You got it. Well, we are all rooting for you, and hopefully, you know, and I know that I've asked you about this before when we first started this, and you told me, you know, you didn't know how to thank me. And I said, just promise that when you get that degree, you know, you're going to pay it back. You're going to fight for those who need the help, mm-hmm. and you're going to continue that. And you promised to do that. And I know that you will, because you fought so hard for yourself. And so I see it as an investment in a better world by helping you fight. And so I hope that other people agree.
I utilize it in the positive, you know, because there's bad attorneys and there's good attorneys. There's attorneys that actually help people in need, and there's ones that just, you know, like his attorney terrorizing me. Well, he knows, you know, that that's all he's doing, and he's just, rather than, you know, withdrawing, he's just continuing the terrain, and it's just sad.
Yeah, but he's happy to make a buck off of your
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Give my love to the little one, and I'll get these updates sent out. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Jessica.
Bye.
Bye.